Which historical figure would be the most obnoxious Instagram influencer? Alexander the Great. Constantly posting Instagram selfies with stuff he renamed after himself. When Alexander saw the breadth of his influence, he wept, for there were no social media platforms left to conquer. Look upon my posts, ye mighty, and retweet. Oscar Wilde. His famous quotes would seem pretty douchey as captions on Instagram photos. #X200B, be yourself, everyone else is already taken, we are all in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars. To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist, that is all. Not forgetting, everything in the world is about sex, except sex. Sex is about power. Do you want a nature metaphor or a sex metaphor? Definitely nature. You're going to want to hear the sex metaphor. Thomas Edison, what a douche. Head constantly repost without credit. I'm gonna go with Lord Byron. He already had the emotional, broody thing going on. I could see him playing a mysterious and secretly sensitive duckboy. Oscar Wilde likes your post. Augusta Lee likes your post. Oscar Wilde would serve some excellent tea on Twitter. Came here to write this, he'd be a killer on Twitter. Mark Twain too. Mark Twain wouldn't have a Twitter. He'd hate Twitter. Not enough space for one thing to tell a decent thought, however, he would have an excellent and wildly popular podcast. Joseph Goebbels. Modern mass media would have been his wet dreams, I think. Berlin Analytica. Oh yeah, he would definitely be big on Racebook. Everyone's friend on mine Lebensraum. Joan of Arc. Non-stop photos of nature pics inscribed with Bible verses and inspirational quotes, but all of her IG stories would be her doing CrossFit. CrossFit lol. I'm literally following a woman like that. Because there are tons of them. The original emo, Edgar Allan Poe, would be insufferable. Cassandra of Troy. She'll post all sorts of weird future prophecies, probably about a volcano erupting and destroying New York City. Why does no one believe me? Edit, thanks for the silver. The first Roman Emperor Augustus. He essentially invented the idea of mass consumption propaganda for the Roman people, so every one of his posts would be humble brags of his achievements. Check out my new statue, oh the fancy artwork on the breastplate. Yeah, that's the Parthians giving back our lost legionary standards. Did I mention that they gave them over without a fight? I must just be that intimidating, I guess. Oh well, guess we can all enjoy 200 years of unprecedented peace and stability because of my achievements. No biggie. #Pax Augusta. Holy crap, I just realized his propaganda is still essentially working on me. I always think he's the best one. Hess just that good. Socrates. Dude loves to stir the pot. Socrates' Instagram account would just be Plato posting stuff he heard Socrates say. Edit, platinum? Wow, thanks stranger. But in return, I offer only words. Why do you who are citizens of the great and mighty nation care so much about laying up the greatest amount of money and honor and reputation, and so little amount wisdom and truth and the greatest improvement of the soul? Socrates. Alexander Graham Bell. He'd always be the one writing first in the comments. Speaking of him, the first telephone did not ring. Instead, you just had to scream into the phone loud enough that someone on the other side would hear and pick up. That's beautiful, I want this back. Imagine calling your buddy while he's on business meeting. Hey, duckface, stop sucking your boss's dick and pick up the stupid phone. Dude, how did you know? A telephone works both ways. Alexander Hamilton. He publicly published his mistress's letters in the paper because he wanted to disprove rumors about him, and got into fights with everyone. Do you know how much tea he would spill if he had an internet connection? Plus, he completely bankrupted himself to pay for a lavish lifestyle that made him look like he had more money than he did. He is definitely someone who would take out an expensive lease on a Lamborghini just to get some good selfies with it. Plus, he would have just posted constantly. The amount of writing he did in his life was known to be crazy. If it was all posted constantly online at his whim, it would have been nonstop. How does he type like he's running out time? Good lord, Henry David Thoreau would be huge on Instagram. Like a 19th century version of today's all natural, all good, the simple life, the real life, hipster-like influencers. Just endless pics of his cabin that end with #TheetanyLife. Oscar Wilde would be up there as well. But for different reasons. He would be doing selfies and name-dropping posts all the time. But he would be so witty about it that the public would eat it up. Oscar Wilde would be highly entertaining. There's only one thing worse than being tweeted about, and that's not being tweeted about. Oh, good one. Henry VIII, I just picture that fat asshole picking fights with half his followers while trying to bang the other, all while claiming some divine right blessed and showing off his estate. And complaining about how he can't find a good woman. I recently found out that Walt Whitman published Leaves of Grass, got a positive review from Ralph Waldo Emerson in a letter, and consequently republished Leaves of Grass with that review printed on it. So him. He's got that self-promotion thing down pat. Is this where the whole reviews on the back of books thing comes from? I need this answered. Yes, it is. I don't know if that's the right answer, but I thought your need deserved to be fulfilled. Genghis Khan. Selfies at pillaged villages. Dick pics in everybody's DMs. His followers would be his extended family. Yet at the same time this would remain true even when he has the largest Instagram following. Andy Warhol. ITDB constant 1,000 new posts a day, too much to process. It'd probably follow him anyway. He'd have unpaid interns posting for him while he lived it up. Hey, those interns would be compensated generously with exposure and speed. Damn Dahmer taking pictures of his food. He'd spend all his time making rec threads on 4chan. The bloody popes just blocked me on the Twitters. Henry 8.0, edit, this stroke of genius isn't mine, it's from a BBC series called Henry 8.0 which stars Brian Blessed as Henry VIII living in the modern day. Check it out, edit 2. If you like Brian Blessed and shouty swears, you owe it to yourself to listen to Richard Herring's Leicester Square Theatre podcast when he interviews, or rather attempts to interview, the man himself. How is baby gender determined? Catholic divorce, Catholic annulment, Pope contact info, Martin Luther 95, Catholic Protestant pros cons. If I become Protestant, can I still keep all titles bestowed by Pope? Catholic Church, Illuminati, aliens, YouTube, Google, google.com, Siri, open google.com, Siri, close Twitter. I'd say either Trotsky or Diogenes, though Diogenes would make a god-tier shitposter. Good luck getting Diogenes to use the internet. Trotsky would also have 7 different blogspot pages instead of being in Instagram. LiveJournal. He's Russian. Louis XIV of France, the Sun King. He was a fashion icon in his day, and his favorite hashtag would be #LetAtsEsMoi. Marie Antoinette. Excellent question. Could you imagine Queen Victoria with all of her militant wholesomeness? She would have just posted about how much she loves Prince Albert and rules for everyday living. She'd probably be one of those wealthy mommy bloggers who's scarily obsessed with her hubby and secretly hates her kids. No probably about it. She was a terrible mother. Yeah, the impact of her own miserable upbringing really showed in her attitude to her 9 children. Her letters on the subject are quite something, in her casual child abuse sort of way. Leopold is the ugliest. I think he is uglier than he ever was. I hope, dear, Vicky's young son won't be like Leopold, the ugliest and least pleasing of the whole family. Leopold walks shockingly and is dreadfully awkward, holds himself as badly as ever, and his manners are despairing, as well as his speech, which is quite dreadful. It is so provoking as he learns so well and reads quite fluently, but his French is more like Chinese than anything else. Poor child, he is really very unfortunate. Link to extract from Google Books. After seeing Look Who's Back, I'm absolutely sure that Adolf Hitler would be all over popular media sites like Twitter, IG, Snapchat, and Vine. RIP. That movie got far too real for me. One of the rare cases where I like the movie a lot better than the book. The book doesn't do anything with the story and paints Hitler in an almost sympathetic light. It's really weird. The whole plot is basically haha, look at this zany old Nazi trying to navigate modern society. With barely any political commentary in it. The movie handled it way better. The first half of the plot is pretty much identical to the book, but then it starts to actually criticize Hitler as a person instead of making him out to be this likable antihero.